It was Tuesday morning, about just around 6 a.m. California time. Dozens of armed deputies, including a tactical team, descended on the house on Magnolia Street, broke down the door with a battering ram, sent a robot into the house, allegedly to search for possible threats. The deputies then arrested two mothers who were living in the house, as well as two of their supporters. All four were released on bail Tuesday afternoon.
It's a story as old as time.
Tanks and guns and tactical gear?
I don't understand it. There was some indicator that the sheriffs would use some type of force. It was alluded to in several press statements that were made by the Alameda County sheriffs, which is what prompted the moms to continuously repeat, as well as their attorneys, that this is nonviolent civil disobedience.
The displacement of American citizens at the hands of mega-rich corporations. The livelihoods of many were dismantled with action carried out by police. It is the effects of the sports industrial complex driven by a billionaire class of owners whose only goal is profit. The Super Bowl is here in Los Angeles. However, prior to the big game, the groundwork was put in, turning an old racetrack in Inglewood to the richest stadium ever constructed. $5.5 billion was the price tag. Now, don't get me wrong. Sofi Stadium is gorgeous, but it comes as a detriment. In this city, the Reagan administration's legacy of displacement and lack of affordable housing continues its practices into present day. The development of SoFi is a pseudo-effort of inclusivity in the name of pro football and various events. It's the message of a decaying society that serves the ultra-rich and more times than not only opens its doors to those with multiple investments and lavish lifestyles. This is a crisis for renters. Even though rent control ordinances have been put in place, landlords still have several other ways to raise rent, said Rick Ford, an organizer with the Lenox Inglewood Tenants Union, an activist organization that advocates for renters' rights in the city. Roughly 2/3 of Inglewood residents are renters, according to census data. In 2016, Inglewood was one of the most affordable places to buy a home in LA. Out of 159 communities in the county where real estate firm Zillow tracks prices, Inglewood and its median home sale price of $402,271 ranked 124th. As of last year, it had leapfrogged 27 neighborhoods to the 97th spot with a median price of $739,254, an increase of nearly 84%. The mayor, James T. Butts, told the public no tax dollars have been requested or will be used if the SoFi Stadium project is approved. The AP reported that although the plan required no upfront tax dollars, a review of documents showed the developers expected to recoup up to about $100 million in the first 5 years. The documents showed paybacks from tax dollars generated by the project would cover costs ranging from installing streetlights and fire hydrants to running shuttle buses and providing police security on game days. Stan Kroenke, the owner of the Rams, a Trump-supporting billionaire who could give a damn about anyone but his pockets, saw the Rams' value rise from $1.45 billion in 2015 to $4.8 billion in 2021, all due to the brand new SoFi Stadium. Although they needed the voters' approval, the 5-person city council, led by Butts, voted unanimously to approve the initiative by passing a public vote. Here's the thing, though. It's not just Stan Kroenke and the LA Rams. The NBA's Los Angeles Clippers broke ground in Inglewood in September of 2021. It will be ready in 2024. Inglewood tenants protested, fearing displacement with a brand new $1.8 billion arena being constructed, knowing the ramifications of these decisions. When an activist disapproved of what the Clippers were doing in her town, Butts was caught on a hot mic saying this.
Thank you, everybody, and with that, we're adjourned. Choke yourself, Diane.
Yep, he told a resident of his town, Diane Sambrano, to choke herself because she objected. It's another episode in a recurring reality for many, but for folks like Jerry Jones, his stake in all this was crucial in adding more to his bottom line. When the move became official, the Rams pegged Legends Global Planning as the owner's representative. Jones's Dallas Cowboys and the New York Yankees co-own Legends, which also was involved in the naming of the stadium, a deal with personal finance company SoFi that cost $625 million. The trickling down just simply isn't relevant, but Butts recently said he couldn't be happier To underline that point, the city paid for a promotion in the LA Times ahead of the Super Bowl, hyping Inglewood's renaissance. Inglewood is one of 88 incorporated cities in LA County with a population of about 108,000 people, more than 90% of whom are Black, Hispanic, or Latino, according to census data. For years, it was one of the most affordable communities in notoriously expensive LA. According to Zumper, which tracks rent data, the average price for a one-bedroom apartment in Inglewood in January 2016 was $1,100. As of January 2022, the average had spiked to $1,750, an increase of 59%. Over the same period, LA's rent increased by 17%. Inglewood has a 3% rent control cap in place to prevent price gouging, but various loopholes have nevertheless provided the wiggle room for some landlords to charge more money. Knock LA wrote, since the construction of SoFi began, gentrification has also began rapidly. Landlords took advantage of the absence of rent control in Inglewood before 2019 to jack up the rents and push out those that were there. Even since rent control went into effect, some landlords have refused to make repairs and have waged harassment campaigns in attempts to drive out more low-income tenants so they can then remodel the units for wealthier renters. The unhoused in LA, as photographed by the LA Times' Wally Scalise, were forced out to make way for those coming into town for the Super Bowl. Meanwhile, the demand in Inglewood has created a luxury market that previously did not exist. Before 2020, only one Inglewood home had ever sold for more than $1 million. Since then, 18 homes have traded hands for $1 million or more.
Sports economists, including Victor Matheson, are skeptical.
If someone claims, look, this event is $300, $400, $500 million, what an economist would say is prove it.
Matheson contends that for some cities, the cost starts with building a new stadium. And on average, taxpayers contribute $250 million for stadium construction.
If the Super Bowl actually brings $400 or $500 million to the city, then all of a sudden handing over $500 million in taxpayer subsidy looks like a pretty good deal. Unfortunately, if the actual impact is a fraction of that, then all of a sudden taxpayers are on the hook for a huge stadium and they're not getting much in the way of help, at least from the Super Bowl, to pay that stadium off.
Supposed economic boom that paid to publish sports economists write of, with one example being the Los Angeles Sports and Entertainment Commission, simply doesn't occur. Knock LA also dispels of the boom in local businesses argument here. Some may temporarily lose regular customers who stay away from the Super Bowl madness. Others may invest in their operations ahead of the event because they expect a windfall, only to learn too late that visitors are being corralled on routes that bypass their location or encouraged to spend at sponsored locations rather than perusing local options. Promises to connect local businesses with corporate sponsors have also been known to fall short. Look no further than LA's own history. Of 23 minority-owned businesses that became registered licensees for the 1984 games through a city-sponsored program, by 1985, at least 14 found themselves in financial distress. Some even faced bankruptcy. 12 of these businesses filed a lawsuit claiming the Olympic Organizing Committee had reneged on its agreement and was culpable for their losses. Andrew Zimbalist, a professor of economics at Smith College, told SI, stadiums and arenas do not support higher per capita income, and they do not support employment. He adds, most people in Inglewood rent and get shafted, which includes retail renters, a la business owners who don't own their buildings and may get priced out of the neighborhoods as higher-end shops and chains move in.